If you're not using Executor or Recluse, I'm leaving the game. Go cry about it, you're a terrible teammate.
Look at this, look at this, look at this. Read what the you pick up. Please, for the love of God.
So Nightraign's been out for some time now, and most Souls fans are pretty positive about it. Like, not as good as regular Elden Ring, but still a fun time. Usually I talk about Nightraign's routes and boss guides, but today we're going to do something a little different, and that is to review some absolutely wild takes in Nightreign. So if I really like a game, I might join the community subreddit, or the few times that I'm on Facebook, I might join a Facebook page. And actually, I kind of enjoy seeing like tips and tricks and funny memes. I kind of like the tarnished AI vlogs. But the other day, I was browsing through Facebook, I know, kind of weird, on specifically the Nightreign Facebook group, and I was reading some of the posts and like, wow, people love to complain. I mean, this is not something new for any Facebook group or any group in general. But today we're going to check out some of the posts and some just terrible takes and terrible tips and opinions. But to set everyone in the mood, let's start with my favorite.
I have 250 hours in Nightreign, and here are some things I wish I could tell my random teammates when I play with them.
So right off the bat, we got the hour drop, which is 250. Now, it's been my experience, whenever somebody drops their total hours in a game, that tells me absolutely nothing. You can have 1,000 hours in a game and still be terrible. Prime example, I had a roommate in college. He was on academic probation and was only taking like 2 classes. Still managed to fail both of them. But he played Modern Warfare 2, the original, like Xbox 360 Modern Warfare 2, just all day. I mean, would skip classes. Again, he only had 2. He would skip the 2 classes just to play Modern Warfare 2. And I sat there and I watched him play. Now, I'm not the best at Call of Duty. I'm pretty good. I'm well above average. And it was infuriating to watch him play. I mean, this guy, no better than a .2. Yet, I would venture over the span of 2 semesters that he probably put in about 1,000 hours. Still terrible. I mean, practice definitely makes perfect, but you got to learn from your mistakes. You got to figure out the routes to go. You got to figure out spawn points. You know, it's going to vary depending on the game that you play. But anyway, let's see his takes.
The first thing I would tell them is I'm not doing that stupid cave. So many times I've seen people mark the cave like, bro, no. We will get better weapons. The cave is a literal waste of time.
This is stupid. So if you didn't know, if you go to a cave, you can get a somber smithing stone by beating the boss in there. It's either like a giant pumpkin head knight, but it's the level 2 smithing stone, and it's going to take your blue weapon to a purple weapon or rare augment. You can also find regular smithing stones in there. If you don't, you can just go find a merchant and then upgrade that way. But why this is a terrible take is that you can have relics to make your starting weapon really good. So for the Executor, he can put frost, poison, and then his weapon already does bleed. So that's 3 procs, and he's the proc expert. So his starting weapon is actually really, really good. Now imagine you start a game and you immediately make that purple. And further, a lot of people don't know this, but in order to use rare augments in the game, you have to be level 7, unless you upgrade it yourself. Then you can use it at any level. So if you hit a mine right off the bat, now you can have a purple weapon before the first ring even begins to close. Why wouldn't you do that? Now, it is true that you can get rare items later in the game, but they're not guaranteed to be the weapons that you want. You can custom make your starting weapon and then make it really good, and then if you find a rare weapon later, just switch it out for that.
And to add to that, I'm not doing ruins and camps on day 2. Day 2 is spent either fighting field bosses or doing the shifting earths or the castle. Clearing out ruins and camps doesn't net you enough runes into the late game to justify wasting your time there.
This I agree with to an extent. So it is true that doing the smaller objectives, and I talk about this in my other video, how to get to level 15 every time, is yes, they're good starting objectives to do right off the bat, maybe to get to level 2 or level 3, but you really should be going after, especially on day 1, like ever goals. And if you can, try to get to the basement of the castle in the middle. But yeah, especially like day 2, trying to do those smaller objectives, they're just not going to bank you enough runes. The exception to this is that if you go to certain forts, like the mini castles and like the mausoleums, they have a pretty high chance of giving you more stone sword keys, which then you can use to open more ever goals. So it really kind of just depends on what the rest of your team is kind of doing. And like if you're playing with 2 other randoms and they're going off and they're doing smaller objectives, it's just probably in your best interest to follow them and not go off by yourself and try to fight a great boss. Because if you're just going to play by yourself, then you might as well just play solo and make it easier on yourself.
The second thing I would tell my randoms is if you go down and you have 3 bars to revive you, you're not getting revived anytime soon. You may as well be out of the fight. And I would tell my other teammate to not revive you because they're just going to get downed in the process.
Okay, yes, so Nightreign has a mechanic, right, is that more you go down, the harder it is for your team to revive you, right? This is going to prevent you from just always reviving your teammates in the middle of fights. It's more risky, it takes more time to do it. This is all while the boss is fighting you. In fact, you can notice that if one teammate is trying to revive somebody else, normally the boss will then switch their aggro to that person. So yeah, it can be incredibly difficult to revive somebody that's 3 bar down. However, I would say don't go into this game with that type of mentality. Like, nobody's going to want to play with you with that. Again, nobody can really hear you, but there are opportunities, especially with the final boss of an expedition, when they're stunned, when they're exhausted after doing like a heavy attack. You can kind of coordinate using your ult, maybe with another teammate. You can get people up from a 3 bar, but to just flat out say, you know what, I'm just not going to revive anybody. I'm not going to even make the attempt. Kind of a self-report. You know, if you're good enough and you can use your abilities and you can get somebody up, why not bring them back into the fight if you can? Again, it's kind of less about like giving tips here and it's just more like complaining about his teammates.
The third thing, and this is the most important thing, drop good items for your teammates. If I'm playing Duchess and I see you have a Moonveil in your inventory and you're not using Executor or Recluse, I'm leaving the game. Go cry about it. You're a terrible teammate. You don't know how to play the game. I don't care. I never thought I'd say this, but there needs to be some skill-based matchmaking.
This is obviously his worst take. He's going to complain about this one like a child here. When you go into an expedition, you're not guaranteed any weapon. Every time you take down a boss, there's a level of random generation that happens, right? You can increase your chances of getting certain weapons, certain good weapons, if you of course go for the big bosses, the great field bosses, or do the shifting earth objective. But let's say you're playing the Executor, you're not guaranteed the Rivers of Blood. Now, let's say a teammate gets the Rivers of Blood, and let's say they're playing Raider, a weapon that does not scale well with them. He's not entitled to give you that weapon. You're random who he has never talked to and can't talk to. You should be good enough at the game where you don't need a specific weapon in order to beat the night boss. But probably why he's the most whiny here is he didn't upgrade his starting weapon in the mine. So now he's forced, in order to hopefully get a rare weapon that scales well with his character that he really likes. It's so ridiculous, man. But good news for his teammates. If he does leave, 2 things happen. 1, you lose a very annoying teammate. And 2, all the bosses have lost 1/3 of their health because it's going to scale down for only 2 players, and they have less poise. So you're going to be doing more stance breaks. So honestly, it's a net positive. But yeah, I scroll through the comments and most people kind of agree, yeah, this guy's just whiny. I'm surprised that he has 250 hours and he doesn't know how to be a good teammate. So the next guy, we're going to review a couple of his posts. One of the most insufferable people, and I pray that I do not get him as a random anytime soon. So I'm not going to show his name or anything. He posts in like all the Elden Ring groups, but let's read some of his posts. He says, so I need to have a conversation with the Raider stands again. So I'm on the mic with somebody playing Raider and another random who was sweet, but she was new and lagging behind us a bit on the map. So the Raider and I was just mobbing shit and left some small enemies here and there for her to kill so she wouldn't feel left out. Very nice of you. Thank you. So Raider guy and I hit up a castle and we go through the basement and we see that there's a bell-bearing hunter down there. So I specifically said, go ahead and attack him. I got a clear shot at him. Just dog him. I don't know what's going on here. He said, okay, bro. Why my mans took like 3 steps inside and cast Totem. Because that's his ultimate, I guess. I instantly just muted my headset and microphone and sat down. Then when Homegirl came, she asked me a effed up question. Why are you sitting down? I just simply said, no reason at all. Now, to be fair, the Raider didn't die and we were able to help. So it was never a problem here. Nobody died and they ended up defeating the bell-bearing hunter. But guys, please be aware of the team that you have around you and the small spaces that you're fighting in. Shake my head. So Why is he mad again? He's mad because his raider cast his ultimate. Let me look in the comments. So somebody says, I feel like you could have better described what the totem did that piss you off. Sure was casted, but did it cut you guys off and block the entrance? Did it trap you guys in? You also could have properly communicated what happened so that she'd know what really went on. Just my opinion. Though he just responded with, cut me off and cut off my spells. Okay. So maybe I'm doing more calculation than I need to. So you said he took 3 steps inside the basement area. Cast totem. And sure, it might have blocked some of your spells, but can't you move around? But also he said it cut him off. Where could it have possibly done that? I know the entrance to that basement, it's a huge area. There's no way that totem cut you off. If it was on the side areas, sure, but you specifically said he took 3 steps inside. So I don't know, maybe I'm looking too much into it, but I don't find that too big of an annoyance. I think the most annoying thing that sometimes the boss can get stuck in the raider ult, but I don't really blame the raider. I think there should be a mechanic where you can take away the totem if you like click the ult again, but that's a mechanic problem. That's not a player problem. My favorite thing is that everyone was fine, like nobody had to reset or anything. He's just complaining to complain. But you're going to notice this theme for this guy. So I had some videos on hand for this, but he actually just posted the other day. So let's look at this one. Raider mains strike again. Now he could have simply went to the other side of the night, let me aggro. And when we just confuse the AI, but no. Sorry, let me aggro and we just confuse the AI. I don't know what he means by that. Am I missing something? But I get him pulling the aggro. Okay, so let's see the video. Fantastic audio quality, by the way. This guy is filming with a potato.
You guys I'm not tripping, hold on. So, Raider fans, once again, right?
Also can barely hear him.
I'm getting my reward. I'm looking at shit. And he's obviously waiting for us. And I have a clear path. I don't have to jump over there. He doesn't have to do this.
See, this is what I'm talking about. This exactly that. Exactly that.
And why? You could have just let me cast. You could have just let me cast. Attack me from the other side and let me aggro.
So he's mad that Raider popped his ult. Obviously, it's blocking his shots. Again, like I said, instead of moving around the totem, he's just going to stand there and complain that the Raider cut off a couple of his spells. like this is so goofy. This has to be rage bait. Like this, it's working. It's working against me. He has to be getting me somehow. These can't be real criticisms that he has. Dude, he posts a lot here. All right, so one more from him because it's so funny. So Sai, oh, sorry. Preface, I'm sure a couple of people know my face in these groups. Oh, we do now. I'm a Peri Celestial. Cooked with that one, he cooked. I'm a battle mage. In terms of PvP, I can be really toxic. But in terms of PvE, I do my best to help everyone. I'm sure you do. That being said, I do agree that the community could be a bit more welcoming to noobs and average gamers. Says the guy that posts 20 times a day complaining about randoms. But when things like what happened in the first video below happens, it's unforgivable. P.S. Noobs, please understand your character's strengths and weaknesses. Either that or stop being distracted by shiny things. Kids shouldn't play with adult toys. Oh, that was a tough one. That was a tough read at the end there. But let's actually see the video. Let's watch it. Hold on.
So this post is in response to why we don't need game chat. Look at that dodge roll.
I like how he had to add in like, look at that dodge roll. He's got to brag a little bit about his skills here.
Y'all say this is a toxic community because we talk about noobs, right? Here, I don't know what that is. Oh yeah, I've seen it. For a legendary staff, I have Azur's great staff, right? Or I mean,
is there a truck backing up in the background? Do you hear that beeping?
Great staff, right? Or I mean,
I think there's like a truck. I think there's like a garbage truck like backing up outside of his house so, as he's recording. I don't know why I found that funny. Sorry.
Azure staff. I could melt this boss hypothetically, but he will not stand still.
Yeah, so the boss unfortunately doesn't stand still in boss fights. A notorious problem that FromSoft has. I really wish that bosses just stayed still. That way I can just melt them, but fortunately they have to move around.
Crystal staff or Lucette staff would be fine here. Also, if you find a powerful staff, give it to the recluse. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Did you guys? Hold on, let me rewind that.
Okay, he's rewinding it, so in case you missed it.
Why? Oh my God. And both of these classes, I forget who it was. I believe it's the Iron Eye. Homie.
Very clearly the Guardian. Very clearly.
Homie, you're going to use that staff twice and you can't use it again. Why are you holding broken staffs? Look at the health. Not to mention,
He should give me that fast. He's tripping.
I have the affinity on.
Okay, it's like I said before, nobody's entitled to give you anything in the video game. If you got the staff, great. If he got the staff, I mean, you don't know what relics he has. He might be good with the staff. Chances are he's probably not, but I guess they don't beat the boss because he's complaining about it and he posted on Facebook, so I'm assuming they didn't beat the boss. This is just another self-report. You're just not good enough to beat the boss, not because you didn't have the staff that you wanted. Like, yeah, it would be nice that he dropped the staff, but he doesn't have to. That's what he earned, and if he wants to use the staff, he gets to use the staff.
Do you see all this open space that I have, all this time that I have right here? Guys, I get it. There's people who want to play the game, they just want to have fun. But read what the you pick up. Please, for the love of God.
Like, so let me get this straight. Let's say he's 100% in the right. Guardian, he doesn't do any damage. He doesn't have the FP in order to use that staff. Hypothetically, let's assume he's 100% right in this situation. What if nobody ended up getting the staff? Like, think about this. You guys are going through great bosses. You guys are increasing your chances of getting good staffs. What if you don't get this weapon? You're basically just saying that you guys are screwed. You don't get this weapon, the game's over. Because what you're saying is because your teammate didn't give you a staff that you wanted, because you can't use your staff because you're bad at hitting moving targets, you guys are going to lose the game. Again, this is just a huge self-report on how bad you are. You shouldn't have to have certain staffs. I mean, look, you got 2 rare staffs and you can't get the job done because you don't have the one staff that your Guardian has. Like, dude, maybe you're just bad. Maybe that's it. All right, this is a pretty good one. It actually was just posted. So, Rage quit alert. I'm Recluse running with a Wilder and an Iron Eye. So boom, the whole run we're behind but kept getting lucky. Evergold saved us for the first night with a 30k rune pop. I got legendary bow, boom, dropped it for the Iron Eye. I got legendary grafted, boom, dropped it for the Wilder. Okay, sounds like a good teammate. Here's where it gets crazy. Wilder is holding a Dark Moon Greatsword, which my rune setup is literally built around. Which is my rune set. I think he means relic setup. Am I misreading that? I think he means relic setup, like all the weapons that scale the best with his relics and his character. 3 blue staves and a purple magic sword, but has a good skill but not enough. I'm in the waiting room trying to signal for a trade, doing the little emotes, whatever. Dude just stares like I'm background noise. So I did what an emotionally unstable support player would do, drop my whole inventory on the ground and dipped. GG, I had to peace out, I'm not a loot mule. Alright, to be a little fair, it does stink that, you're constantly dropping things for your teammates and you don't feel like you're getting reciprocated. But like I said, nobody is entitled to anything. That includes your teammates. If you got a legendary bow, you didn't have to drop the legendary bow for your teammate. You didn't have to drop the grafted sword for the Wilder. Now, Wilder is really good with great swords. I actually haven't used the Dark Moon Greatsword with Wilder, but I'm assuming because it's a great sword, it's good with him. However, you see that he's holding it. So chances are he's probably going to use the greatsword in the final boss fight. So why would he drop it for you if that's the weapon he wants to use? Like, I get that it would be great for you to use, but again, you're not entitled to anything. You know what's the best part about this post is, like I said before, you left, so they lost an annoying teammate. and you made the boss fight easier for them. And you actually dropped them really good stuff. So if you were my teammate, I would say thanks. Gave them the win, basically. You quit because Wilder was holding a greatsword you wanted? Am I understanding that right? I feel like I misread something. I had to check myself. You're reading it right. He quit because Wilder was holding a greatsword that he wanted to use on Recluse. Yeah. It's like even the comments think that you're ridiculous, dude. Guys, he said himself that he was an emotionally unstable support player. Lay off him a bit. That's fair. He did say he was an emotionally unstable support player. I'm not going to give you 100% of a pass just because you're self-aware, though. Yeah, most of these are just like making fun of him for the fact that he wanted a great sword, even though he's playing Recluse, and it's much better for Wilder to have. But I think it still scales better with strength. But again, that's all secondary to the fact that you're not entitled to any weapon. So, but anyway, that's all I got for this video. Thanks for watching. If you want a guide to get to level 15, I'll add a note here. If you need any help with any of the bosses, I do have some boss guides. But thanks for watching and have a good one.